Hey guys, it's Sithlore. Wanted to talk about Way of the 100 Fists today. It generates 8 spirit per attack, which is the most of any of the primary skills, and it does 140% weapon damage. The thing about this skill is the damage is very erratic, because you basically do one big punch, and then you do a series of small punches, and then another big punch again. So there's a couple advantages and disadvantages associated with this. Like you can see, you're doing lots and lots and lots of damage, although the numbers aren't, when I say damage, I mean you're hitting many times. That's the reason for the skill name. So what this is really beneficial for is when you are trying to get up your cyclones when using Sweeping Wind. Well, because of the fact you're taking so many hits, even if you have a really small critical hit chance, you're going to get your critical hits just as a result of that. And so you're going to get your stacks. And that being said, I'm not getting any stacks, but other than one. But trust me, it does happen, and because of the... There we go, there's 2. And maybe I should pay attention to the battle that I'm facing rather than worrying about how many stacks I've got. But you do get your stacks up as a result of the number of attacks that are being initiated. Overall though, even though it does so many attacks and you can get your critical hit chance up, I'm not a huge fan of this skill. I just think it takes too long from the first attack to the third attack, which is probably why the damage is higher and the spirit generation is higher for each of these attacks. So let's check out the rune choices. So the first rune choice is Hands of Lightning. So the second series of attacks, the ones that don't do a lot of damage, it increases those attacks from 7 to 10. Well, again, because of the fact that you're not doing a whole lot of damage, the additional damage isn't overly worthwhile. Again, it's just you're getting your critical hit chance increased as a result of all of those mini strikes. But overall, it's taking longer for you to go through 1 to 3, and your damage isn't increasing very much as a result. So again, I'm not a huge fan of this, and it doesn't help with your proc chances either, because this is treated as 3 separate hits. Even though the second hit hits 10 times, you still only get 1 proc as a result. So if you're looking for that benefit, you're not going to get it. This is not a rune that is used very often either. So the next rune choice is Blazing Fists. This is actually a really good rune. So what it does is for every critical hit, then you gain 5% movement speed, and you also gain 5% attack speed as well. And it can stack 3 times, so you can increase your attack speed by 15%, which any monk knows is huge and is extremely important. So right now I'm at 15% movement speed and 15% attack speed. So you will see your damage increasing as a result. So my damage right now is at 22,000. Now that I've got 3, it's up to 25,000. And then of course if I decide to use some of my other runes, then it increases again. So this is a good skill just as a result of the increased damage that it provides. And because it's increasing your attack speed, it's also increasing not the actual damage, but the speed of your other skills as well, so you can do more damage. Again, this is damage, is not damage per attack, it's the number of attacks. And so it's one of the things that I try to point out fairly often, is there's a big difference between damage per second and damage per attack. So this is increasing your damage per second. So once we've killed these guys, then we will go up to town and switch runes. This is one of the strongest runes in my opinion for this spell, for this skill, sorry. The other thing I haven't pointed out is, due to the way that this skill works, it does provide some AoE damage. Not as much as the last skill we looked at, which is Crippling Wave, sorry about that, but it does provide some AoE damage. So this next skill, Fists of Fury, allows you to do enemies take damage over time. Again, this is one of those skills that I'm not a big fan of, and the reason being is because the damage doesn't stack. It's just kind of one of those things where once you've infected an enemy, well, now he's taking some damage, but as I continue to wail in these guys, they're not taking any more damage than they would. So again, those type of skills I'm not a big fan of. Sure, 100% over 5 seconds, it's 20% per second, that's still good, but I'd rather have a skill that is increasing the damage per hit rather than a damage over time skill. Oh, the one thing I didn't mention about Fists of Fury, I think you saw it once or twice, but I wasn't pointing it out. When you attack an enemy, for your first attack, you may teleport or move a small distance. It's a little bit like Thunderclap of the Fist of Thunder rune, although it's not as evident. So this next rune, which is Spirited Salvo, for every time you hit an enemy, all of the other primary skills have had a way to generate additional spirit. Most of the time, actually all of the times, it was as a result of critical hits. Well, this time, the first time that you're hit, well, let me actually use up some of my pool. The first time that you hit an enemy, on your first punch, there's a 15% chance, so it completely ignores the critical hit chance, but just increases you got a chance, a 15% chance to generate an additional 15 spirit. Again, not a rune that I'm a fan of, but that's what it is. The last one, Wind Force Flurry, another good skill. So this actually allows you, if you want, to have a bit of a ranged attack. And the reason being is because, as you saw there, the third attack sends forth this piercing thing, piercing wave of wind that deals 250% weapon damage. It does pierce through enemies. It travels in a straight line, so as long as the enemies aren't moving too much, then you can aim fairly well. So this is good when you're dealing with packs that have close range things such as Plague, Molten. When you don't want to really be in melee range, then this is beneficial. The challenge, though, is of course keeping them at bay. So if you have fleet-footed and some other things that are going to allow you to kite, that's great, but see how long it takes in order to provide that spear. It's not going to be a realistic opportunity for you to continue to use that unless you've got a couple of other big tanks in front of you. So it's a good ability. It does do quite a bit of damage, but it's damage in addition to rather than just the 250% damage that you're going to be concerned with. So again, it is a good skill, and as you can see right here, great, they're taking quite a bit of damage as a result of that. So let us come over here and we'll get rid of this pack, and then once that is done, then we'll end the video. So thanks for watching, guys. Any questions or comments, please leave them below. If you like the content, please subscribe.